Welcome, everyone. Thank you for taking the time today to join us for our 14th episode of STEM and STEAM activities at home or in the classroom. Today's session is kicking off February activities, and I know you're just as excited as I am. Now I'm going to pass over the presentation to Josh, who will be presenting this webinar.
Hello, everybody. Happy Wednesday from Milwaukee. I'm Josh, as always. And over to my left is Pete.
Hey there.
Pete's our producer. If you hear somebody off screen talking, it's Pete. It's almost February, which means love is in the air. So today we're going to talk about doing some fun Valentine's themed arts and crafts activities that work well for either home use, remote learning, or in the classroom. If you enjoy these wonderful live streaming presentations by us or others, please make sure you visit the fine people at Nasco Education. Yay! You can follow them at these fun social media links. And if you have any questions, please talk to Jordan, who's on here. There's an email address, engage@nascoeducation.com. They put these on every week. We're one of many people and always happy to answer questions with Jordan, or you can ask him other fun things. Just ask him how his day's going, because he always appreciates the attention. Jordan's a nice guy. So we're going to switch from the screen to it over. There we go, overhead screen. There we go. Little Josh in the corner. So we're doing some fun paper circuits activities because it's the easiest STEM thing to do for Valentine's Day. It really is, and everyone loves a good Valentine's thing, especially when it's science themed. We're using our paper circuits kits, which is a really cool kit we have. Nasco has both a learn from home version, a small version like this guy here, which is kind of like a little go-to $25 package version, and then a big classroom set as well, which can be broken down very easily into sending like things to send home, all the parts easy to put in little baggies and send off to kids if need be. But Nasco has a couple different smaller versions as well we make for them, specifically for learning at home and remote learning. But our kits have all the stuff you need inside of them: LEDs, batteries, binder clips if you want to use those, and our really awesome nylon conductive tape, which is this guy here, which came a little bit unraveled earlier. Our nylon tape is the coolest thing around. We know. We love it. So this is it's a nylon fabric tape as opposed to that copper foil stuff. Copper foil, kind of lame. I think we have a graphic that explains how we feel. There we go. There's our unhappy graphic. Our maker tape. It's really cool. It's nylon. If you've ever done anything with copper foil, this fixes every problem you've ever had with it because it's really, really strong. It's conductive on top and bottom. We can do some pretty cool and higher end stuff with it if you want to. I have this left over from a live stream a while back. We made a big old knife switch with our cool nylon tape. It just fixes so many problems with it. But we're gonna make a fun greeting card. We've actually just posted several new activities, several new cards for the 2021 year, because we're very hopeful that 2021 is a bit more happy of a year now that we're past 2020. The Mayans were wrong. It wasn't 2012, it was 2020 was the end of all things. But 2021, we can rebuild, we can have a good time, we can make fun greeting cards for the holiday season. So we can show you how to do a couple of these little guys in the 26 minutes we have left today, maybe 20 with some questions. By the way, if you have any questions, put them in the chat, just a little type in the chat, and we'll see it. Jordan will ask us that. Always have to answer questions on the fly because we are live, so ask when things are live. So we have a couple different cards. So Pete over here actually made these up because one thing I know about Pete is he's very romantic. That's why I hear from everybody how romantic Pete is. So we have a couple of very romantic cards. We have like Heart Friend. We have our wonderful Your Ace is in My Book. Oh yes, with the ace of hearts there. And we have something very nerdy if people want to go back about 15 years. The cake may be a lie, but my love is not. Love for you is not. If you get that reference, kudos for you. We have this, the Figure 1 Human Heart. Very great for any biology classroom. And we have this really, really cool one that Andy made up. Andy, our curriculum writer. I love it with the moon and back. Little astronauts there on a very red moon. Maybe it's Martian.
There's a lot of moons in the solar system.
There are. I mean, Saturn, come on. I mean, after like 10 moons, just stop. You're just showing off Saturn. But this is a nice fun. We're gonna be doing this one and one of these other guys, because this is actually a pop guy. We do a little three-dimensional aspect with this. So these are some basic templates. We always have more than one version of this. We have a version that's colored and also a black and white version. So if you're especially doing things, just say younger kids, we wanna have everybody do something like this guy here. You can print off a black and white version. They can color it as they like and then add the LEDs to it. Most of these are one LED. This guy's a twofer. because we want to put 2 LEDs on this guy. We'll be doing this guy here and this. Next week, we're doing another really fun, even more nerdy one than that, but that's next week. We're gonna throw these up to the side liberally. We're gonna get going on this so we can start going. On the inside of all of our card templates, we always have a diagram of how to make things. The nice thing is too, if you got a couple kids who are very gung-ho, or you as a teacher like, hey, you know what? Not for the kids, but I have a special someone in my life who wants a card. You can always use this inside design or template and do your own thing on your own piece of paper, because that's always a fun thing to do. And then you can just decorate as you like on the front. We're using 1 coin cell battery, 2 LEDs, and a couple strips of tape. We're doing a shared common ground right here, and then positive that branches out like this. Oddly enough, is the exact same thing that we did for our polar bear activity ages ago. I have a feeling that this may have been copy pasted from the polar bear. No, Pete? No? No.
I should have.
Best part about paper, you should have actually, it would have saved you several minutes of work. But once you have the basics down, which we love about paper circuits, you can do tons and tons and tons of projects that are designed on your own, which is great for kids who want to be a little more artistic, a little more freewheeling. Those kids just do your own thing. So we're gonna gather the parts up really quickly here. Battery here from coin cell battery, little 3-volt coin cell, which we have in our kits. These are CR2032s, but they're always in all the kits. So everyone uses for paper circuits. They're great for a couple of LEDs. After like 3, they start to peter out. They just can't shove out that much power. We're gonna grab a couple of LEDs. Pete, what color do you recommend that we should use for this?
I used blue, but I mean, you can use any color. I thought it was nice contrast. There's a lot of red on that card.
Oh,
So, yeah.
you know what? I'm actually gonna grab the 2 blue over here because you know what?
Sure.
Blue, actually, this one's already splayed. Doing the splits on me. So we got 2 LEDs and we're gonna need some tape, which we got literally everywhere on this table. LEDs, like these guys here, these are big jumbo LEDs. They're the size of gumdrops. They're 10 millimeters, the official term, because that's their diameter. Others are 5 or 3. 3s are kind of lame. They're really small. To get 5 or get 10. Are there other sizes, Pete? Like 8? I mean, these seem like the common ones everyone uses.
I don't think there's 8, and you know.
No.
3 are typically used like right on a PCB, I think.
Yeah, if you have like little circuit boards people have made, they're nice and small. But anyway, the 10 ones are just way easier for child manipulation. Kids manipulating it, not manipulating children, people. They're children. They're easy to fool. I caught a nose 10 years ago, have not given it back. So these all have positive and negative legs to them. I think we have a diagram that shows LED legs, don't we, Pete?
We do.
There we go. Positive, negative. Don't get them mixed up. It's one thing you have to keep in mind. So positive, negative leg, you want to keep that in mind. Long is always positive, short's always negative. No matter what LED you find anywhere, that's always going to be that way. It's one of those common standard electrical things. And then, of course, our battery is marked positive and negative. And on here, we have things. I'm also going to grab a safety pin out of my drawer full of stuff because we're using some pretty heavy cardstock for this to poke holes. I always recommend, if you can, using like even this very, very light cardstock, like 20 to 30 pound cardstock, just so it's a little heavier for kids to work with. Not that any of the parts here are heavy, it's just a little bit extra than trying to use printer paper for it. Just makes life easier. So I'm gonna use this handy safety pin and just poke holes here. I'm gonna poke from this side because things don't always line up depending on your printer. We have like 3 or 4 printers in our office, and each one, when we do back to back, is ever so slightly different. So matching things up is kind of like, it works fine on this printer, but it's ever so slightly off on this one. So yeah, ever so slightly off. That's fine, we can be flexible. So I wanna make sure my positive's on the outside, my negative's on the inside. So positive on the outside, I'm gonna stick this through. I'm gonna splay these guys apart just to keep it in place. I'm gonna do the same thing here too. I'm good, look at this, it is, okay. My phone is vibrating. I'm always on childcare duty, so it's a daycare calling me. I always like to just quickly double check. It is not, it is spam. So I'm gonna grab some of this really long piece of tape I have here. I'm gonna start from the bottom here and come down to the center. So I'll be on the underside of my battery. I'm just gonna go over the top of these legs. Their tape is conductive on top and bottom. I always like to kind of measure out or just eyeball it.
Gosh, quick question. What's the age group for this sort of activity or the paper circuits kit?
Now, I always recommend, in general, minimum of 4th grade up through as old as people get. I say 4th grade mainly because we have small parts like coin cell batteries involved, and it's a safety issue. And 2, it's also dexterity is one of the big issues. Again, every kid is different. Having taught fourth grade before, I know that some fourth graders are really good at manipulating small parts and tape and scissors because they're really arts and craftsy people at home or after school programs. And other kids trying to get them to cut like something out of a piece of paper is just like impossible. So I would say fourth grade, 10 years old and on up tends to be a general ballpark, decent age level. The nice thing about paper circuits too is that you can scale things up and down. We have lots of different versions of activities. You can make a very complicated paper circuits thing or a very simple paper circuits thing. It doesn't matter. It's the same batch of materials one way or the other. But I always say like 10 and up, fourth grade and up tends to be like the lowest end for any of our products just because of dexterity and safety purposes. But I mean, I've done BristleBots, for instance, with third graders, and like half the class does great, half the class needs some help, and like one kid it just isn't working for them. And there definitely is a big difference between like third graders at the start of the year versus third graders at the end of the year, just because how quickly kids change and develop at those age levels in what they can do. Now I'm making a tape loop right here. Oh, thank you, Pete. We're making a tape loop. It's the same thing we have down here, but up there. Our tape is conductive on top and bottom. So if I make a tape loop and stick it right here, I have now made a solid electrical connection with my tape below. And then with my battery, look at that. I made a battery holder out of thin air. Should never be more difficult than this. Maybe a dog ear in the corner. That's a good way of doing things, but should never do anything more difficult when it comes to paper circuits than a roll of tape on the bottom of your battery for like a project like this. Now we just need to use a couple more pieces of tape. Now, I could use, Pete, one long piece. I could be that guy and use one long piece, but you know what? I'm told that, oh, right angle turns are hard for some people, Pete. So I'm going to use 3 pieces of tape just to show off how easily it connects to each other. You can. I'm pretty good at right angle folds. That one of those teacher skills I picked up ages ago. Like a right angle fold is not something most people are good at, but as a teacher, you tend to do weird like arts and crafts things a lot, and certain things you pick up well. Like using that machine at school to punch out letters for bulletin boards. I'm a pro at that.
There's a machine that punches out letters.
Oh, we had like a whole set. It was like a little press. You'd put the piece of paper in and then the cutout and just like, and you get like a perfect letter A, and just like him. That's how teachers did those bulletin boards. As a kid, I never understood like, wow, those letters are great. You know, teacher so-and-so must be so good at cutting things out. No, wow. They had a machine. Things you learn when you're a teacher versus when you were a child in a classroom. I need 2 more pieces of tape like so. And this kind of project here needs like maybe max like 2 feet of tape. I mean, really, that'd be more than enough tape to do this activity. I have clearly used a bit of extra tape on here. I usually say typically 2 feet of tape per child per activity gets you there, and then has a bit of extra in case somebody messes up or needs a bit of extra tape.
Could you use the 1/8" tape?
Yes, we have 1/8. I want way too much tape here. We have an 1/8" version of this. Now, as an adult, 1/8" tape versus this is the 1/4" wide. I'm perfectly competent doing that. However, for children, it might be a little difficult. It's actually pretty strong. Like as an adult, I have a really hard time breaking through it by hand. Really, again, like these guys need a pair of scissors to cut through because it's nylon. But you could. We always put the 1/4" in here because it's just much easier for that younger audience. And yeah, especially your taping down parts. Now I have put tape over the top of these parts because it's conductive on top and bottom. Are these both on? Yeah, they are. You could, if you wanted to, put the tape down first, then the LEDs, and then put another little piece of tape, either just standard clear tape or more maker tape over the top to tape them down to the top of there. Either way works fine. I just do it this way because it's easy. And there you go. You have yourself a fun little card. Look, heart friend to you. Happy Valentine's Day, Pete.
Thank you.
My wife would be jealous. Oh, yeah. So this is a very simple card. This is a little more advanced because it actually really involves more advanced paper crafting, which I'm going to show you how to do that now. So this version, we're going to make a little pop-up. Oh, there you get out of my face there. A little pop-up right here that goes over where our LED is to make a little 3D effect. It's a really easy way. We do this quite a bit in a lot of our projects. Just because it adds that little extra more difficulty layer for older students like middle schoolers, especially like, oh, look, a little more difficult, even though it's just paper craft. And it looks a little more interesting as well, that having a little 3D effect. We've done this with a rocket ship. We have a Indiana Jones style beating heart. which is a fun Valentine's Day card if you have a nerdy Indiana Jones loving person in your home. But we can do it for a bunch of stuff. And it's nice, it's very simple to do too, designing your own, because it's just printing off a second graphic over the top of a different graphic, you know, on a separate piece of paper, cutting it out, gluing it on top. But I'm gonna poke the holes here. Yay, my LED is gonna go right there. Yay, it's a very simple circuit. We actually built in a switch right here. So there's a gap in our circuit here, and you put the corresponding tape on this side, and there you go. You, again, when you fold it together, it turns on. So a little paper switch, very simple, very easy, very complete. The circuit, great vocab thing, complete circuit, open circuit, closed circuit. So white LED, Pete?
Yeah, nice white one would be good.
We don't do yellow LEDs.
So,
They are weird. So yeah, they're not super common.
can you see them?
I can see them, they're hard to tell.
Oh.
There you go, nice and a white color. We could use color changing because the moon does change color depending on atmospheric conditions, your harvest moon, your blood moon, so to speak. So let's find out, where's my positive negative? Oh, long leg over here, short leg over there. So make sure I have that correct. I'm just going to quickly tape this down lickety split so that we can do this aspect here. There we go, my big old piece of tape. We have gone way too far on this. Like, we have made this very large so we could fit this on here. If you wanted to make a much more simple version, you could just shorten this up. But so we're gonna start from here to there. And we do have things lined up so they match, is the big thing. That's the hardest part with sometimes greeting cards, to make sure the two sides match up when designing things. We have a lot of experience designing cards this way.
With that strip on the side though, you can always just kind of overlap another piece that doesn't line up.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
you've eyeballed things a bit.
Yeah.
You can always add more maker tape on top of other maker tape and then you're good. That's the best part about maker tape. It is conductive on top and bottom.
Just like life, many problems can be solved by adding more tape.
It's true. It's amazing, like, man, I wish I had more tape at this teaching conference or event. And like, you know what? I do have tape. I have rolls and rolls and rolls of tape in this backpack of mine.
Yeah, like my car breaks down, gaff tape, you know.
Gaffer's tape, I didn't learn about that till I started doing video production. Like, it's a fabric, not super crazy sticky, but decently sticky tape, so it comes off pretty easily. We're gonna do a tape loop again, nice and quick and easy, and then we'll get that little pop up there in the next 6 minutes. So we have a couple minutes for question, but Gaffer's tape, it's good stuff. I now keep a roll of it in my car. Oh, by the way, the one issue that kids tend to have with our tape in general is the fact it can sometimes be hard to get this wax paper backing off of it. And the upside of wax paper backing is I can give a child a piece of tape, just cut a piece off, give it to kids in a classroom setting. Here's your 2 feet, little Susan or little Timmy or little Pete. And life is good. But the downside is it can sometimes be difficult if you have no fingernails. Some people have no issues at all with this. I do a big workshop with teachers. Other people are like, we can't get this going. There's always that one person, that one teacher in a workshop. I'm gonna do right angle turns. I'm gonna show off. We're gonna use just extra tape and trim. There we go. But this also works well then with a wax paper back if you want to say cut off 2 feet of tape and then give each kid like a part from a larger kit, like our big classroom set, which has enough for 40 activities in it. 120 LEDs, 40 batteries, 130 feet of tape, plenty of tape and batteries and LEDs for your average classroom, but you can break it out and just give them all their chunk of tape. You can send it home with them in a bag, little Ziploc baggie or whatnot. Ta-da, right angle turn. I know, I have very few impressive skills at dinner parties, but I break out tape or a piece of paper, do a right angle fold. People are like, wow, that's great. Not that I go to many dinner parties these days. And then I have a little bit of tape left over. Oh, will it be enough?
Wasn't that a left angle?
90-degree turn, Pete, 90-degree turn.
90 degrees, okay.
Yeah. So there we go. We're gonna double check here. Oh, look, my switch works on, off. Isn't that amazing? Now we got to get this whole little pop-up guy going here. So I'm going to cut this out quickly. Now we did build this in the template because We want to make things easy on a single piece of paper. And I, again, would recommend, especially with this kind of thing, 30-pound cardstock seems to be like the most optimal cardstock that we've come across. Thin enough to actually fit through a standard printer, yet thick enough to be useful. 30-pound cardstock, the just good enough paper for classroom needs. I think Andy, when he did this curriculum writer, he really cut the moon out. Didn't he, Pete? Like cut this little moon out with
Yeah, look at the little picture on the,
little circular.
on the, open the card, it has little diagrams.
Oh yeah, there it is.
Yeah, there it is.
I'm not going to do a super great job cutting close because
This isn't the cutting channel.
it's the tape channel. I'm sorry, cutting? Who cuts? We only tape.
I usually cut for you.
Somebody says, hey, Josh, could you use glue? I'm like, I politely asked him to leave. I'm sorry, sir. So
You know the next step involves gluing.
I know, that's why I say, I'm gonna use some clear tape. So we've got a couple fold spots on here. As long as they're kind of matching, the ends are a little bit, yeah, as long as you have two pieces that are matching here, you just need enough space to get above that LED. And this is where it's a more difficult thing because you're slightly folding. And look at that. Isn't that fantastic? So I'm going to tape this down first onto here. Get this in center frame. There we go. Tape this down, then I'm going to tape it to my project. I'm going to use a little bit of clear tape here. I always put some onto this guy first and then press him down. I'm sure somebody will do a much better job than I'm doing right now.
Can you do a right angle turn with that tape or not?
With this tape, if I wanted to, Pete, if I wanted to. I'm sure Jordan is somewhere else in Wisconsin just being like, I can't believe these guys and their tape. Can't. I'm sure I'll get an earful like, really, Josh? It's all about the tape with you, isn't it? Like, yes, it is. So I probably put those too close together. But we can always trim. Actually, I could stick it right underneath. Oh, yeah, I could just trim this up a bit. Trim these guys up and stick it under the LED actually a little bit here just for a quick demo, but you can tape this down as well. Let's try that. There we go. Now I got my little moon, pop-up moon here. And you can't tell because we have lots, like 6 lights on me
No,
here.
you can kind of see the glow.
There you go.
on the blue card. Yeah.
And you can always trim this up and use a little bit of tape to hold this down, or a dab of Elmer's glue. I just have it kind of shoved, the little leg shoved underneath the LED there for a little bit of a pressure fit, but there we go. Oh, and we're exactly on time too, 4:24 and a few seconds. So that's the I love you to the moon and back with a nice moon. You could draw this and do fun things, a little astronaut love there. There we go. That's a pretty easy, straightforward card. You can do different versions of this if you wanted to. Again, showing kids like this is how we do this basic setup and then let them do their own thing. You'll get kids coming up with really wacky like hearts and other fun designs and whatnot. But adding lights to a Valentine's Day thing is pretty easy. There are essentially 3 holidays that all work well with paper circuits. Halloween, all the winter holidays, because there's so many light up things for lights, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Christmas, you name it. Reindeer with noses that are bright and red. All those things work well. And then, of course, Valentine's Day is the other one that works well for light up fun things. It's another card giving day. And of course, then birthdays, you know, the other
4th
card.
of July, everyone blue LEDs,
I suppose, but what if I live in Canada, Pete? Do I light up a maple leaf?
President's Day,
Canada Day?
Memorial Day.
I guess the Day of the Dead's another good one too.
Oh.
We have a couple Day of the Dead things with sugar skulls. That's another festive, colorful light up kind of holiday that would work well too. But any excuse we can to put tape and LEDs on things. But this is the activity. So we have questions now here at the end. So Jordan, are there any other questions or comments you'd like to say or things you'd like to throw in, Jordan, out there?
Yes, absolutely, Josh. Thank you. Tape Man. I'm going to call you Mr. Tape Man. Okay, first I want to say thanks everyone for joining us today. Thanks, Josh, for presenting. My name is Jordan Nelson. I'm the Customer Engagement Manager at Nasco. I was your host today. I was give a shout out to all the educators out there still making it happen for students. Thank you, and thank you for taking the time to join us. If you do have any questions about the activities you just saw, you can ask them at this time. As you're writing them, I did want to make a quick note of some different things. One, the templates for these cards are in the handout section on the webinar control panel. And I see you love playing like Pong or something with that. The second thing, engage at nascoeducation.com. That's where you can we can answer all the different questions, any kind of follow-up from this webinar that you would have. So make sure to reach out to us for that. Webinar for next week, because this is a weekly webinar. I wanted to make sure to get the link for that. So in case you did enjoy this today, that you would have opportunity to be able to join that webinar. Here, let me get that into the chat real quick here. Here, hold on a sec. All right. I think I got it. All right, let me send that. There we go. Oh, awesome. All right, and then the last thing I want to make sure to remind everybody, because there's some that join us throughout this different webinar, you can give some survey feedback for us after the webinar or in the follow-up email. You'll also get a recording of this webinar as well, in case you wanted to be able to do this activity at a later time and you don't remember all the different step-by-step. I'm looking right now, Josh, at the questions, and I do not see any right now, which is a good thing. You just explained it so well. Absolutely.
Well, it's not just me. It's the amazing directions and templates that have been made by the fine people here at Brown Dog Gadgets, like Pete. Yay, Pete.
Absolutely.
Go Pete and Andy.
Pete and Andy do a great job with these. All right, so I guess if there's no more questions, I did my little tidbit at the very end. Like I said, you can still reach out to us at engage@nascoeducation.com. If you do want a link to the actual kit that he was demonstrating, the small group conductive kit, I can put those into the chat box too as well, just in case you want something really quick to reference. And just as a reminder, those handouts, make sure to download. If you don't get a chance to download today, you can reach out to us again at that email address, and we're more than willing to send you the download templates as well. But otherwise, I thank everybody for your time and joining us today. We look forward to you having a great rest of your month. We'll see you in February. I don't know, it's a little crazy. The month has already been gone in 2021. But yeah, the time is flying by. All right. Yep. Joy, I just put the links right into the chat. So if you want those links, you can definitely click on those right now and get access to those different kits. And like I said, too, if you don't get those links in the chat today, we can also follow up with us at engage@nascoeducation.com. All right. Well, thanks everybody for your time. Oh, what was that, Josh? Sorry.
Okay. We have tons and tons and tons of Valentine's Day templates for some weird reason. So if you have any need any more like suggestions or whatnot, Jordan can hook you up with even more than what we have here, because we have so many we've made over the last couple of years. So many.
Well, there's so many ways to say I love you, right? Hey, you're the one that said love is in the air. So
I suppose it could be a gas leak in here. We're in a warehouse. I don't know. Who knows? Oh, thanks, Jordan.
Okay. All right. Thanks, everybody. We love to have fun. Thank you for your time. Take care, and we'll see you next week.